Hi, everybody, and welcome to the WordLift webinar. I'm Silvia, the Partnership Manager in WordLift, and today I'm with Doreid, the SEO Specialist in WordLift, and Lukasz, founder at SEO London agency. Welcome, guys, to both of you. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. I'm really excited to talk about structured data and e-commerce. So if you have any questions, please write them in the chat. We are gonna read it at the end of the presentation. Okay, let's start. Great. I leave you the floor.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thanks, Silvia. Hi, Silvia. Hi, Lucas. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Quick introduction. I'm Doreid. I'm the senior SEO here at WordLift. I'm very passionate about semantic SEO, structured data, and finding, new innovations way of doing SEO. Today we are going to speak, about the e-commerce. We'll try to cover different aspects on e-commerce SEO, starting from building the knowledge graph for the products, moving to the structured data, and after Lucas also will give us more deep dive also into how we can improve, our SEO for e-commerce websites. So I'm very excited, and let's get started. I believe already Silvia has shared the screen. Yeah, we have it here. So let's start by giving a kind of background what was happening in the last 2 years, let's say, on the SEO industry, on the e-commerce side. So the big revolution, let's say, has started by the Google announcement into 2020, when they said that now Google Shopping will be also open for the organic results. It was, a great news from Google. And after 8 years almost of adopting the pay-to-play model, they decided to open the Google Shopping for everyone. This is, of course, a big opportunity for any e-commerce websites. Why this is happening? Of course, because of the competition of Amazon. Because in some way, Google was losing the competition against Amazon, and Amazon was a kind of becoming the new search engine for the products. This is on one side, and on the other side, basically, Google has also recognized that the shopping area that they have has been dominated also by the biggest companies. So what was happening, that if I am a big company, I have a great budget, I have a big budget. It's also very difficult for the smaller players to go inside the SERP, because they cannot compete also with big companies with big budgets. So it's a kind been dominated this area by the big companies. So finally, Google, after they recognized all these facts, the competition with Amazon, they decided to open this area also for organic results. Then what is, the idea behind? Also, another important thing that I'd like to highlight, that for me as a customer, I don't care from where the product is arriving to my house. Is it arriving from a big company, or is it arriving from the shop in my neighborhood? I care about one thing only. I'd like to get the product as fast as possible. I'd like to see the reviews. I'd like to get all the information that I want from the products. And this is also a big opportunity, because right now, for all e-commerce websites, they can try to work on their data in order to make their data crawlable by the search engine, and in order to provide the search engine with the biggest amount of information of the data that they have. Because if we put ourselves also on the customer side, we need all this information. When I want to buy something from an e-commerce website, I'd like to get all the information needed, from the images to the related products, to the prices, to the reviews. So the same approach, basically, we need to bring to our e-commerce websites in order to get the best of the SEO and the data that we have. Now we are going to, move in a quick discussion about how Amazon, for example, is showing their data, the user experience on Amazon, and how Google is showing the data, and in which way we can improve our SEO and we can use our data in order to get more organic traffic and increase the conversions on our website. So if we take a look, for example, at this screen and see a product on Amazon, I bring this a product just as an example, we can see that we have a lot of images. We have reviews, for example. We have the price, we have the sale price. We have also many other information like the color, the brand, the model, all this information. We have the shipping details, which are also another important piece that we all focus on when we buy something, because we'd like to know how much time I need to wait in order to get the product shipped to my house, for example. We have also the related products. So all the information that we have here are all important. And for me, as an e-commerce owner, I would like to guarantee the same experience to my customers. If we move right now, to Google and see how Google is presenting this data, we see, also a similar user experience, because here also on Google Shopping, we see in the top part, for example, the results that is, dedicated for the paid clients. So when I pay on Google Merchant in order, to get these results, but we see that we have a big part right now only for organic results. And this is also a big opportunity for e-commerce websites, because right now they don't have to pay in order to appear in these results. And the game here is very simple. If you are able to provide the search engine with more information, with more details around your product, you will win this game. So if we take a look, for example, on the filters that we have on the left side, we can find a lot of filters related to the price, the type of the product, the company, the brand, the color, all this information. So my goal as an e-commerce owner is to provide this information for the search engine in order to get the trust of Google, and in order, to appear and show the right product for the right client. Because if I am able, for example, to provide more images on for my products, more dimensions for the same images, for example, all the information related to the brand of my product, the colors, the materials, all this information, this will help too much the search engine in order to show the products for the correct audience that we have. Now moving, how we can do this work. How I can provide the search engine with all the information that I have in my e-commerce website. Here we have a good thing. We always see with e-commerce websites, and we need to highlight it, that a lot of e-commerce websites, they have the data, but they are not presenting the data for the search engine. And we see this, cases every day, because people have the data, they have all the information about their products, but they are not working to build their knowledge graph. They are not working in this direction to bring the data in the structured data format and present it to the search engine. And here we come, with the idea of building the knowledge graph of the products, because this data set that we build will help too much the search engine to understand all the properties that we have for one product, so they can see all the information behind the products related to the name, the URL, the images, the color, the brand, all this stuff. In addition, to give another entry point for Google, because they can crawl the pages, see the information, and also, for example, here in WordLift, we build a knowledge graph behind, so they can also see the dataset behind. So we will have two entry points: the dataset that contains all the information and explain to the search engine the relationships between the product and the category with the other products, and the product with the related products. in addition to the structured data that we have on the page that contains basically, I mean, all the information, all the properties related to a specific product. Giving an example, if we have them in this pair of sunglasses, we see that there are a lot of information that we can provide the search engine with. Of course, when we provide information, we are using schema.org. I mean, the global glossary that all search engines has agreed, I mean, in order to show the information in the correct way for the search engine. So if, for example, we have the type, which is a product, we have other properties like the brand, the category, the color of the product. So this is the idea behind providing the search engine with the structured data, the product structured data that we have in order, I mean, to let the search engine know what are the properties, what are the attributes that we have on each of our product. This is, I mean, a simple example. When we provide the relations between the product and the category, I mean, this is a very important part because now the search engine will be able, I mean, to understand not only from the structure of your websites, how the connection is between the product and the category, but they can see also inside the structured data. So you're going to get two entry points, the crawling stuff and also the structured data stuff that can explain the relation between a product and the category. Then we have, for example, the images, which is very important part. And here I'd like to specify the importance of giving different dimensions of the same image. This can be done by a CDN. This can be done by an API that can also, I mean, generate automatically different dimensions of the same images. Why this point is important? Because the SERPs are different, and for each SERP, Google is using, I mean, different dimension. For example, we have one, we have for 3, we have the 69. So if we are able to provide more dimension of the same images, this will be also, I mean, crucial in order to increase our opportunities and show our products in different SERPs. Then, of course, I mean, we can connect our data with an external data source. For example, here I have Prada brand, for example, okay? So if I want to tell the search engine, looks, I have these sunglasses in my e-commerce, and this sunglasses is coming from a famous brand like Prada, I can also bring an open source library like Wikidata and add one same as inside my brand property on my product markup. And in this way, the search engine can see not only the information related to the product that I have in my e-commerce website, but they can also follow this same as and understand exactly what is the brand associated with this products. So basically, we can do a lot of stuff. I mean, we can do a lot of things using the structured data at the level of enrichment of the product itself. So here, as we see, I mean, we have the brand, and after we are connecting the brand with the product, and we are connecting, I mean, the brand with a same as that comes from open source like Wikidata. And here is, I mean, an example of the data that we can provide with the product markup. So what are the most important data? Of course, we have the SKU, the GTIN, the model, the size. So all the information that we see before on the SERP, that we see on Amazon, for example, that we see in Google Shopping, all this information we can provide it to the search engine using the structured data. And from this, I mean, classification, the search engine can understand which product I have to show for which person. Because if I am searching a specific model, this will be very helpful because the search engine will understand directly the model if I am providing this information in the structured data format. The same approach for the shipping details. If I am providing the shipping details for the search engine, they will already show the shipping details inside the SERP, but also will be another important entry point that the search engine can use in order to show this important piece of information. The same for the review, the same for the aggregate ratings. All those information are important, and they impact in significant way on the buy decision by the users. Basically, this is, I mean, what we do with WordLift. So in simple way, we bring all the information that we have on the website. we add the structured data, but in addition to adding the structured data, we build the knowledge graph behind. So we build this data set behind this products, and of course, the data set is yours. And this is very important point, because when we build data set for the products, we don't build them only for the search engine, because we can also use them. I will give an example. When you have your data set, you can query, for example, the data set. And if you have a big website and you are missing some descriptions, for example, you can use the same attributes in order to provide description. This is a very, strategic point. For example, we do an experiment on a big e-commerce site by bringing the attributes that we have on a specific product, like the color, the material, the dimensions, and we start building the descriptions because the data is ours. So building a data set for an e-commerce website is quite strategic, and it can help a lot in improving the descriptions, for example. It can be used in many different ways. And remember always that the data is yours. So you can play with this data, you can provide it to the search engine in order to get more qualified traffic, in order to get more, in order to cover, more long-term keywords, for example, because you are providing more properties, more specific information for the search engine. Having said that, here we can see also how complexity and how Google right now is using the data. This, it can show us the importance of building knowledge graph, because if we take a look, for example, at the knowledge panel for the product on Google, we can see that Google is collecting information from many sources. So they are bringing the reviews from some websites. They are also showing the pages from other websites. They are showing specific feature related of a product also from another website. So it's kind that they are collecting the data from different data sources, and they are showing this data inside this knowledge panel. So our goal here is arriving to this point, because if we are able, to provide all the information they have, more information we can give the search engine with, the better opportunity we can get in order to get the product knowledge panel, go inside the product knowledge panel, and get more organic traffic. Moving right now to another important points that I always recommend and highlight when we start any project on e-commerce websites is providing the GTIN, the global identifier. Why this GTIN is so important and why it's a game changer for any e-commerce website? Because the GTIN is a unique identifier, and if we read, the documentation of Google, it tells us, all the story. The GTIN is a kind of a code that never change. So if you are providing this GTIN for the search engine, they can recognize directly what is your product, and they can also make the comparison by the product that you are selling, and if there are also other people, they are selling the same product. So providing the GTIN is quite important, because it's the unique identifier that the Google can rely on in order, to identify your product. It's very trusted by the search engine. And if you have this piece of data and you are not providing this piece of data for the search engine, you are missing a lot on your SEO. So the GTIN is the first something that you need to do if you have this piece of information and you are not presenting this piece of information in forms of structured data. Then, how this GTIN can be useful, especially if you have a multilingual e-commerce site. Basically, when you provide the GTIN, also you will help the search engine recognize the same product across different language versions of your websites, because you will have the same product but have the same GTIN, and you will have many languages, but the search engine will be always able to recognize this product by looking to the GTIN that you have. So it's a kind of approach similar to the hreflang, but you don't have to implement the hreflang at this point, because the search engine will be able to recognize your product using the GTIN itself. Moving forward, here there is a cool feature also that we've been also working on with WordLift. I mean, right now we have it ready almost related to the merchant feed. So this is something also we recommend for all e-commerce websites. What we see that in many cases we have a gap between the structured data which is present on the pages of the e-commerce websites and the merchant feed. Let's say that most of the e-commerce site right now, they are providing merchant feed because now it's organic and you can, I mean, get the opportunity to show in Google Shopping using the merchant feed. But the point here that if you have a merchant feed, you can also use the same data in order to increase or in order to improve the structured data that you have on the websites. And Google have been speaking, I mean, about this point for a long time, giving the merchant feed at a first point and also use the same data in order to enrich the structured data of your product markup. So if you are providing these 2 points, the merchant feed and structured data, this will change the SEO game on your e-commerce website. The most important thing that the data is aligned between them. You don't want to show something on the merchant feed which is not present inside the structured data. So data will be the same. And for this reason, we've been working, I mean, here at WordLift on a new feature that allow the clients to give the merchant feed and directly I mean, build the structured data of the product markup based on the same information that you have in the merchant feed, because this will guarantee for the search engine 2 entry points, and they can also get more confident with the data that you have because you are providing the merchant feed and also you have the structured data on your page. Of course, the structured data can give you a lot more of a flexibility because you can play with it and you can enrich it more compared with the merchant feed, because the merchant feed is static. We have these properties. But with the structured data, you can also play, for example, with the related product. You can play with other properties. Basically, you can play with all the schema properties that are present in the product markup. This is, I mean, the idea behind. But anyway, having both of them is fundamental, and having the data aligned between those 2 entry points is fundamental in order to win the SEO game. This is exactly what we've been, I mean, explaining. So having the same data on the Google merchant feed and schema.org in the product markup. Other, I mean, important points that we see, I believe we have this update, I believe 1 month, more than 1 month. It's in on the 13th of September, when Google has announced that if you even don't have a merchant feed, right now Google will use the same structured data that you have on your product markup in order to show your product in the merchant feed. And this is very important and can explain to us in a very clear way how much is important to add the product markup, because what Google is saying is very simple. If you don't have a merchant feed, I'm going to use the same structured data that you have on your product in order to show your product inside the Google Shopping. And this can explain how hungry Google is, how Google is hungry for the data, and how much they need the data. So it's a data game. If you are able, I mean, to provide more data with your product markup, Google will use this data and they will show your product inside the Google Shopping. This is, I mean, the clear message from this update that we get from Google. Here also, I mean, we have a very realistic, I mean, situation on a big e-commerce websites. And I would like, I mean, to explain what's happening here. First, I mean, of course, it's not easy case, because, I mean, we have a big e-commerce websites here, and we have a lot of errors, we have a lot of warnings, we have some buried products. So it's, I mean, a websites where we already have a problems, and it's a big websites, and we know, I mean, with big e-commerce websites, it's not easy to manage everything. So we started from this situation. But the interesting thing here, the interesting stuff that I would like to highlight is we already have a product markup on that website. So you see, I mean, if we see the period, for example, before the 3 of March, for example, on this website, we see that we already have a product markup, okay? And this is cool. But what happens after that? After building the knowledge graph of those products, and after enriching the data, and after adding more attributes for the data, we see a big difference, I mean, with the impressions. So it's not only it's a matter of adding the product markup, but it's also a matter of the quality of the data that you have on your product markup. Because if you are able to add more properties, if you are able to enrich this product markup with more attributes, and if you are building the knowledge graph behind, of course, I mean, the game will change. And we see here, I mean, why we are getting this huge increase of impressions, because right now Google is able to see all the information behind the products. It's not the same. Even if we have the product markup before, it's not the same thing. And we see this gap. I mean, even we have even problems there before going live. So basically, we remove the old markup. The product markup was going down. We weren't able to add the new markup because, I mean, for technical problems. And after we were able, I mean, to add it, and we see this huge increase, I mean, inside the impressions, because even if we were providing the product markup before, after building the knowledge graph, after enriching, I mean, the product properties, we can see in very clear way that Google has seen everything after building this knowledge graph, and after the number of options was going very high, and the number of clicks after, of course, was going much better compared with the previous period. So yeah, this is, I mean, everything on my side. I hope, I mean, that I give a clear idea about how we can use the data, I mean, in order to improve our SEO. And now I will give, I mean, the microphone for Lukasz to dive, I mean, let us, I mean, know more also about how we can improve SEO from his side.
Thank you, Doreid. Thank you so much. Very great presentations. You made the point very clear. So how important is that to have structured data, knowledge graph, especially for product in e-commerce. I have some questions about ask you later. So, okay, I'll leave you the floor to Lukasz. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much for this. It was fascinating to listen about knowledge graph, and especially I think the websites which have plenty of categories and product, they can immediately see a massive effect, massive improvement, because the scale is important. I think you will agree with me. So obviously I will not be talking here more about knowledge graph, because I think you guys as WordLift, you probably know this inside out. I just wanted to go into a bit on different end, how I am trying to increase traffic to e-commerce website fast, working with new clients, working sometimes in the languages that I don't even understand. Somehow I have lots of clients from Netherlands. I don't speak Dutch at all, but glad to work with Dutch people. And it's fascinating because through the numbers, kind of, you can understand the language. So the first thing is the gap. This is one of my favorite approach. If people who knows me maybe longer time knows I'm talking about gap a lot. I'm doing lots of kind of numbers processing in Excel with the BigQuery, just to understand better the industry that I'm coming. And there is plenty of examples. For example, golfing industry that I know very little to nothing, analyzing the websites from that industry, e-commerce from that industry, and taking many players from the industry and looking for the common points. Where are the keywords that many websites ranking simultaneously is the way that you can understand what is important. Keywords like, for example, iron, which is like a technical word for golfists, and I would never know this before. But obviously we are talking about e-commerce, and I took here and just randomly picked up a shop from the SERPs, And this is the shop which is selling electric tools. So one of my favorite area. I have relatively high number of clients from different countries which are dealing with this, and where the gap is, that in the first place, I'm always looking on the categories, because categories is that element of the e-commerce that rather is solid, and products may not be products can be sold out, but category rather is staying. And when I was analyzing this, you see Kendall tools and machinery, I understood that the guys who are dealing with this show, they intentionally are choosing the name of the categories which are to some point, as much as possible, matching the keywords and matching the search volume, matching the demand. After so many years in SEO, I think not only me, but also my colleagues, always thinking about any piece of content, what is the demand after this piece of content? And sometimes we even think like, okay, there is no sense to write about something if people are not searching. So as you can see here, and as an exercise, I just took all these categories and just wanted to understand what is the search volume. And obviously we have drilling machines, plunge saw, support stand, and so on, and so on, and so on. All these keywords that you would expect to see for e-commerce that is selling this kind of electric tools. But in this part, I'm talking about gap. So what I could do next, I could try to think where are the areas that I could expand number of categories and do this clever way, so I also match the demand. And in 2010, before the boom of all the tools that we have right now in the SEO world, I mean, a co-author of the tool called Lunik, that was Lukasz and Nicholas. We wrote a tool which was doing gap analysis. So we were taking exports from search metrics and we were adding them, and then the tool was doing some magic and was showing us where are the point that many websites is ranking and our website not. Obviously today it's much easier. We have, for example, SEMrush, we have SE ranking, we have plenty of other tools which not only will show us the common point, common areas where competitors are ranking and we are not yet, but probably we should. But also these tools are able to provide us potentially the most relevant competitors based on the similarity of keywords, the similarity of traffic. So here, straight away, I had a list of very, very similar tools. And this is quite important because sometimes having conversation with business owners may a bit misunderstood who really competitor is. They thinking that somebody, and maybe it's true, but in the SEO world, that will be slightly different group of websites. So this is my creme de la creme, one of my most beloved chart. And you can see that this Kendall tool, the blue one on the top, is ranking on 2,000 keywords. But there is plenty of areas. The blue bubble is on the top left side, top right side of the chart. But then you can see that there is plenty of space and areas where there are other bubbles, other websites, and they are covering areas that the blue bubble, the Kendall tools, is not. And identification of these areas is always very exciting part of working with clients, because I always say, like, listen, this is not something that you must go with. That's a suggestion. That's what data shows. But you know much more about the business you're running. And very often there are like, oh yeah, we were trying this, or this is not our cup of tea, or we have no license for that. But actually these things, yes, why we never been thinking about this or that? And at the bottom of this screenshot, you can see that I choose untapped. So in SEMrush world, it means that I'm looking for keywords that at least one competitor is ranking and my website is not. But then what you see here, it's even better. It's a list of keywords that all competitors are ranking and my website is not. And for example, band sander, drill pillar drills, bench press drill, that are definitely keywords that you can see that competitors are ranking very high, very prominent, and the website I choose is at the moment not. And this is something that when presented to any business owners, that can be this kind of refreshing view, this extra pair of eyes. You can see instruments behind me, and I call this like mastering, like extra pair of ears in mastering. Mastering is always the last stage of the music production, that someone else is listening to the track and is correcting these little bits and bobs. And the same here can be like even very successful business can be mastered by some extra pair of eyes, which is looking from a little different angle. Model as SKUs, as keywords. And now you see, we were talking about these very generic keywords like driller and band sander and so on and so on and so on. But working for many years with e-commerce, I understood that very often there is this small but very caloric group of customers who will never search like, I want to buy an electric driller, press enter. That's not what we're looking for. They will be looking different way. And this is a completely random product. I don't even know how to use it. I only know about that this is bench drill press, X laser, Vice 230 volts. Probably you need to be very careful, because if you misbehaved, so you may lose a finger or something. But there is a very interesting part of the name, and this name for me may look completely not important. For somebody who is in this industry for many years, or whose father was, and now he is the second generation, for these people, DP16SL is all they need to know. And if you go to Google and you will type DP16SL, then you see straight away exactly the same product. And this is somehow what was said before in the previous slides, how important is to keep attention to the details, if I can say like that. You see, DP16SL, 6 letters. For somebody like me, when I would see this first time, it would be completely random. Maybe I would say like, is this a plate number of some car, or what is this? Nothing like that. That Google knows what is this. And I notice this very often with Makita products, with Bosch, with DeWalt, but not only in this product. Wherever you have like a models, wherever you have some kind of a string of letter and numbers, you can see that Google, without any doubts, is showing the right product. On the other side, you have bench drill. And now you can imagine how far someone who is writing bench drill is to the decision of purchase from the person who is typing DP16SL. When I see DP16SL in Google Search Console, I see this guy who is like, yeah, give me 3. Give me 5 because my guys are waiting. Just quickly. Bench drill is more like they're doing research. They want to see what's out there on the market and so on and so on. And you can see the products that Google is showing in the ads are different models from different manufacturers. And you can see that the shop I choose was really clever, with really putting lots of emphasis on this model, on this string of couple of letters and couple of numbers like DP16L. And I said about SKUs, there is some kind of maybe not fully legitimate growth hack, but sometimes when we don't know what to do with SKUs, then we are putting there the models of that devices, and then it's kind of exposed, and we just noticing that that there is a boost in traffic, there is a boost in transaction, there is a boost in revenue. But obviously, there is other side of the story. Someone will say, like, I'm selling flowers. Of course, there is no DP16 SL 16 rows bouquet. 16 rows bouquet is 16 rows bouquet. They can be white, they can be red, they can be pink or blue, but there is no model. So obviously that is different story, that this obviously growth hack will work, but not everywhere. Moving forward, how I knew that there is this kind of pattern. So I figured out this pattern the moment when I started to track keywords performance, organic keyword performance in Google Analytics. And I was able to do this with a tool that I took the screenshot from, and which is called Keyword Hero. So Keyword Hero is a tool that is married data from Search Console with data from Analytics. And you may say, like, so what? Search Console is obviously showing us traffic per keywords to some point, because obviously there is also like a level of approximation, but we know roughly, like on the screen, that roses, order flowers, buttercup, buy roses, that's are quite prominent keywords. But we know very little about behavioral aspects, about transactional aspects, about revenue, and so on and so on and so on. Now, when you go into Google Analytics, you see that 99% of all the keywords is behind not provided. And you have this data, but as far as you can go, this is the URL level. So you can say, like, this page or this product is performing better than this product, but you know nothing about keywords. And then Keyword Hero is coming and is trying to marry this data from two sources. And finally, this is how it looks. You have keywords, the same keyword that you saw on the previous screen, but now you have keywords roses, order flowers, buttercup, buy roses. And in the last column, for example, there is the goal value, the revenue, there is the goal completion, there is the number of pages per session, there is the average session duration. Very, very important layer of data if you have limited resources, and resources are always limited. So I call this tracking keywords like it's year 2005 again. It's a completely different story. It's very, very important, very valuable layer of data, which will not be one more distraction across what's going on there with your data warehouse. This can be an answer for many, 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 many questions that normally you wouldn't be able to answer. And you may figure out that in this, for example, roses is something that is giving me 3 times more, the keyword with roses, but especially with red roses is giving me much more revenue than, for example, white roses or just roses. And at the end, I wanted to mention very quickly about snapshot and anti-snapshot. And I don't want to keep you too long on this. I only wanted to say that both tactics are dealing with the data from Search Console or Google Analytics after Keyword Hero, and they are complementary method. The snapshot is like you would say, where are my keywords that are ranking almost perfect, but there is still a bit that I can improve. So position 3, 4, 5. And then looking for these keywords that are triggering various pages. And obviously, Google Search Console is great. I really like, but I prefer to build some kind of more robust, and I'm really geeky about Data Studio, especially colorful Data Studio. More colors always better. And this is one of my baby. Everything you see here is just the Search Console, but taken a bit different way. So you see straight away keywords with URLs, all the metrics. Also, you can export this with right mouse. You can start filtering, cross-filtering, and so on and so on and so on. And then finally, you are not limited to 1,000 rows. I can get as much as 1 million rows for a very big website. And with sometimes you don't even need that much, but tracking brand traffic versus non-brand traffic and so on and so on, it's beautiful. So this is the new one, and that is the old one. And now I said to you about snapshots. So once again, looking for keywords that are ranking quite high, but not yet perfectly high. So let's say I'm not yet in top 2 or not yet in top 3. What is anti-snapshot? Anti-snapshot is looking on keywords which are ranking on position 30, 40, 50, 60. And I found something very interesting there. Very often, I feel like when you're looking down there, and through the data studio, you can see this much clearer, or Looker Studio right now. You can see that there are very often keywords like Google would like to whisper to your ear, it's almost there, but I cannot rank you higher because you're missing that content. And I will give you an example from e-commerce world. A keyword, gold wedding rings. And the client was ranking in top 10. But we noticed that people are searching also white gold wedding rings, yellow gold wedding rings, and rose gold wedding rings. And we saw that there is relatively high number of impressions, no clicks, and position oscillating around 30. And that's this moment when we feel this whispering from Google, like Google would say, like, listen, make this category about white gold wedding rings, yellow gold wedding rings, or pink gold wedding rings, because that's the main tricolor, I think, of gold, and put there these products that you already have, but you have them all in wedding rings, just all messed up there. When you will do this, we will have a reason to put you much higher. We will have a reason to switch the URL to more relevant URL, and so on and so on and so on and so on. I had personally another situation like, so people are searching, I didn't know, but thanks to that, I realized that people are searching hire a redirection consultant. I would never figure out this. What a niche. Hire a redirection consultant. Building a page like that would make immediately that page ranking on position 2. And before, some other page was ranking on position 30 or 35 because it was not relevant content. And one last example, hire Core Web Vital consultant, and the page is what are Core Web Vitals. It's the same group, but it's not the same intent. If someone is looking to hire a Core Web Vital consultant, he or she definitely know what Core Web Vitals are. And then having a page about hire Core Web Vital, benefits of hiring Core Web Vital consultant, that's the proper intent that is matching and can rank very high very quickly. So that is pretty much it. And yeah, let me connect to the studio.
Thank you so much, Lukasz, for your presentation and your information. Appreciate a lot. Let's see if there are any questions. This is the time to query. In the meantime, we're waiting some questions from the audience. I have one for Doreid. Okay, so I would like to ask in which way data can improve my e-commerce visibility on search engines?
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit generic. I mean, but I mean, to give a quick answer, I mean, if I want to improve the visibility, we have a lot of techniques. I mean, one we covered using technology graph, for example, especially if you have the data, because what we noticed that many times you have the data on your website, you have the data on your e-commerce, you have it there in the CMS that you are using, but you are not providing this information for the search engine. So giving all the attributes that you have, basically, I mean, in format of structured data or a format of knowledge graph that the search engine can consume and understand will help a lot. Because this is, I mean, a way of introducing our product to the search engine in different way, because we can provide the attributes, We can provide the very specific information of the audience that we want. So adding the structured data using the information that we have. Of course, if you don't have the merchant center, this is the first thing to do, and guarantee this clear presentation of the data, the connection between products and categories, all this information in a JSON-LD format or the format that you prefer, the search engine. This is the first thing that you need to do.
Okay. So, what are the most important product markup then? Properties.
The property. I believe the GTIN is one of the most important. If you have the GTIN and you are not providing the GTIN, it's the most important thing to do. Then if you have the images and you are providing only one image instead of the images that you have, this is also an important thing to do. So I will focus as a first step on the GTIN and the all images that I have as a first thing. Then, of course, everything comes after is important, but I believe those are the most important two properties in order to provide. If I'm not already providing them.
Okay. So at the beginning, you talked about the competition between Amazon and Google, which is very, very interesting because we know Amazon how it works and everything. So if I'm a business owner, an e-commerce owner, how can I benefit from this competition?
Yeah, basically, I mean, understanding how the industry is going is the first thing I need to analyze, because I don't have to think only, I mean, how I can optimize, but I need to think of Google as a business. I mean, I need to understand what is the business model behind Google Shopping and what they are doing stuff in a specific way. So getting these signals is important, because I mean, if I'm able to understand that Google is doing this stuff because they are losing the game against Amazon, for example, and they need data, I have to provide data. Give the search engine what they are asking for. This is, I mean, the game. This is what I can do.
Okay. We have a question from the audience. Can you read it? Jenny.
Yeah. So,
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny. So Jenny is asking if I prefer using the GTIN, GSI, or digital link for URI to enrich e-commerce schema. I mean, they are different things. There are different things. I believe the GTIN is the most important because, I mean, it's a direct code that the search engine understand, and giving a link or URI is always important because it will give the search engine another piece of information. But the GTIN is something clear, direct, and will describe by the search engine. They need them. And also, it's a piece of information that we can provide in the merchant center. So we have the structured data where we can provide it, and we have also the merchant center where we can provide it.
Thanks. Any more questions? Okay, brilliant.
We don't have more questions.
Because you were very clear, that's why.
Yeah. I'd like, I mean, maybe to ask Lukasz something. I mean, I like the way that he was presenting the category. Because, I mean, what do you think, I mean, the best practices to do there, especially on the category pages? I mean, in addition to work as you, I mean, explained, because the category is stable, basically. So it's important to prioritize the work on the category. What do you think are the best practices to do there?
I think this is this kind of very difficult to initially explain to every business owner that it's not like you can scale this forever, because you will do so many categories. They will be either duplicated or empty. It's the same with geo services. People are like, I want to cover whole Britain. And I'm like, but you have no, I don't know, let's say this is a cat breeder survey, but you have no cat breeders in Leeds. Doesn't matter, we'll take them from Birmingham. I'm like, no, this is not how it should work. You need first to have inventory, yeah? So, you know, and this is very, very interesting when you're observing big fishes, let's say big shops which are selling cloths. Very often, shoes, for example, yeah? male, female. That's 2. Yeah. Then let's say you have this kind of sport and elegant and let's say running. That's 3. Multiply by 2. That's already 6. And then if you put colors, and you're multiplying, but then some people are like, and the size, and I'm like, no. Size is something probably you should keep in the filters and so on. You know, because if you multiply this by number of size, you will get humongous amount of categories with often very little demand that people are searching. It's also something very interesting with codes. When you have female clothes store, something natural is that you should have red coat or brown coat or black coat, but maybe not pink coat or something like that, because that's are not colors that are in the connection with the search. So the balance needs to be kept. Not enough categories is bad. Too many categories is also bad.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks. Interesting.
We have another question from David.
Yeah.
If we are cover schema.
We already covered the schema in the first part. So David, just come back and see the recorded webinar. We will discuss everything about it. If you have any question, you can ask it right now. But anyway, I advise you to come back and see what we discussed before.
Okay. So Jenny.
So Jen is asking, can you say more about how schema and entity SEO integrate with the merchant center? Yeah. Basically, what is happening there is, as Google has announced it on the 13th of September, right now, they are using the same product markup in order to show the product in the shopping center. So this is a clear signal that Google want to show more product in their in the shopping, in the Google Shopping, and they are saying that they don't need even the merchant center in order to show the product. So they can use the same structured data that you have on your product markup to show the same product inside the Google Shopping. So it's a kind of saying, look, if you don't have the merchant center, you have opportunity also to get your product inside Google Shopping because you are providing the structured data there. So this is the point. Then we have right now on Google Search Console 2 different reports. We have the snippet reports, and then we have also the merchant reports. And they are a little bit different because when Google announced the update, for example, we see a big difference between the two sites because some properties are valid for one, but they are, for example, they are creating errors on the another. Then Google made another update and they fixed some stuff there. So the point here is trying to work on both always, because it's clear that it's important to cover both of them. And what we've been doing here, in WordLift, we've been working on a new feature that can allow the e-commerce owners to provide directly the markup, the product markup in the structured data format if they have the merchant center feed. So if you have already, a merchant center and you want to automate the process of publishing the structured data, you can do it in this way. We can bring the information from the merchant center and we can publish it in structured data format directly on the product pages.
I have a question, okay. if I can.
Yeah.
You mentioned about schema, and there was, I think, the link. Now, when you are validating schema markup, are you using the rich results testing tool, or the old school one, schema markup, and why?
Yeah, basically we need to use both because I mean a lot of schema properties is not documented. I mean with Google, so we need to use the rich result tool, of course, because I mean it's important. Sometimes, of course, I mean the validator can show you more properties that the rich result tool cannot show you because I mean not all of schemas are integrated there. For example, the service markup is not there on the Google documentation. So if we go to the rich result, we will find nothing. But we know finally that Google used this data. So it's important, I mean, to use them. The most important thing that when we add something using the validator, a new property, and this property, we need to guarantee that is not creating a problem inside the rich result center, the rich result tool. Because I mean, sometimes it's okay. I mean, we see no errors on the validator, but we need always to come back to the rich result tool and ensure we have no errors there.
Yeah, that's why was my question. I noticed the same. There is a discrepancy between this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we know this, but I mean, we know that anyway, Google will see the information from the schema, and it's tested and proved that Google used this information even if they are not there on their documentation.
Yeah.
We have something more from the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, this is what we're expecting. I mean, the validator can show more relations, can show more data, but we need to be careful always because we don't need to add something that will give an error on the rich result tool. So I always recommend the validator to see the whole picture, everything we can see it from the validator. But after we need to come back and ensure that on the rich result we have no errors, everything's okay.
Another question. Great.
Okay, again, can you use WordLift to inform the merchant center of a service, a product, or only for retail shopping? No, basically, I mean, we don't use WordLift to generate the merchant feed. So if that was your question, no, because I mean, in order to generate the merchant feed that you provide with the merchant center, you need, I mean, to find a way just to export the data in the format the merchant feed do. What we do is the opposite, is bringing the merchant center for feed in order to generate the structured data. So once we have the merchant center, we can, provide and publish the structured data. Of course, for the product, I see here the word service. I mean, service is another thing, but for the products, yeah, we can do the opposite way, bringing the data from the merchant feed and publish the structured data format on the product pages. Awesome.
Thanks. I'm afraid we are at the end. I would love to thank Doreid and Lukasz for your time and your presentation, guys. Thank you so much. And also thanks to the audience who is following us today online. I will publish, of course, the video on YouTube on our webinar page where you can find also the presentation. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Silvia. Thank you, Lukasz. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.